Hey again, everyone, and welcome back to the channel for yet another installment in our new figure showcase series. And it's been a while, it's been a minute, but things have been a little crazy with life and work and whatnot, so I'm glad to finally be able to do this video. I've had this figure for a while, and there are many more to come. So for today's installment, we're going to be taking a look at the Sabine Wren figure from Hot Toys from the Ahsoka Season 1 show. Now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I'm actually winding down my involvement with the Star Wars line. Not because I don't think the figures are great, because they're fantastic, but just because I'm prepping for the Marvel onslaught that's incoming. But these are figures that I had pre-ordered while Marvel had been on a little bit of a lull, and I did enjoy the Ahsoka show, right? I thought that Sabine was a great character. I have no familiarity with the Rebels cartoon series, so my knowledge base of this character is based exclusively on the Ahsoka Season 1 show, and I enjoyed it, right? I thought that, look, Andor is currently my favorite Star Wars show. I think Ahsoka would definitely fall in second, at least at this point, even more so than The Mandalorian, which maybe might be a bit of a controversial stance, but I enjoyed the show enough that I definitely picked up a lot of those figures, so you'll be seeing those coming in. So look, let's take a look at what Hot Toys is giving us at this point, and it is an actual decent package, right? Besides the figure, you get a number of hands. You do get the standard lightsaber, right? The lit version with the cable. You get the blades. You do have a communications device, as well as a holographic projection. You get a helmet. You get the accessories required to light up the lightsaber, and you do get that creature that Sabine does have. So it is a nice package that gives you a series of very alternate, or the ability to create alternate looks. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the accessories, and we'll start with the hands, which are really nicely done. Right, the first thing that stands out, similar to some of the Black Widow hands that we've seen before, is the nail polish. Now, it's just the fact that the detail work that's gone into these, right, it's pretty remarkable, and it goes with the character of Sabine. They're just basically gripping hands for the lightsabers, for the blasters, and then you get fists, and they're all ungloved hands with a nice texture on the glove itself to create that kind of faux material look. Now, you do get the blasters, which are very sleek and very nicely done, and they also have the two alternating colors, right? You get the soft blue and then the yellow, which does give you a nice juxtaposition. Now, you'll see in the next shot that the weapons do have a slide that can slide back. Not sure necessarily what the purpose of that is in the Star Wars universe. Some of you might be able to tell me better than others, but it's a nice feature, right? And it does give you, again, that variety in looks. It's well done, nicely molded. It's a really, really nice set of blaster pistols that go with the figure. And then, of course, you get the lightsaber. This is an actually fairly intricate lightsaber hilt, so I do like that. I like the green saber. As a standard now, you get the straight blade, and then you get the effect piece. But the hilt itself, right, the blade handle itself is nicely done, especially with the cover at the top where the blade actually emanates from. There's some nice color variation as well. So overall, well done, and continues that trend of unique hilts for the lightsaber pieces. Now, when it comes to the communicator, we've seen this before, right? It's just the base, and then it has the holographic projection. I'm not sure who this is supposed to be. I'd have to go back and watch the show to see who it is. Listen, it's done nicely. I don't know that it's going to be necessarily the critical display piece for this figure, but can't argue, right, with the extra accessories. Now, you do get the creature that she has that lives with her in the series. It's a nice extra that Hot Toys gave us here, right? Anytime we get one of these creatures, especially from Star Wars, I always think it's a plus. The sculpt work here is pretty phenomenal, right? The paint apps also creating kind of that faux fur look. There's nothing really to complain about here, except that it's a really nice accessory and an extra to have. So kudos to Hot Toys for doing that. And then, of course, you get the accessories, which, if you've seen any of these Star Wars bladed figures, it's how you basically connect the lightsaber cable, right, to the battery pack that then connects to USB-C and then gets anchored either to the stand or to the figure's belt to light up the blade. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into the figure itself. And look, the sculpt is actually pretty awesome. I think the likeness to the actress is there. I think the detail on the sculpted hair, because it is the shorter look, is really amazingly done with a lot of fine detail work. And then even in the back of her hair, where you've got kind of strands of hair just jutting out, it's really phenomenally done, right? The sculpt itself, there's some makeup obviously, but very simple, and what I mean by that is just it's a younger actress, so right, there aren't a lot of distinguishing facial features, but it's just the likeness is there. This is a very strong likeness from Hot Toys, and it just looks good. Now, as far as the figure itself, this is the first time I've actually owned a Mandalorian style figure. Surprisingly, right, with the Mandalorian itself and the numerous iterations that we've gotten of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian and the different versions of Mandalorians from that show. But the armor is nicely done, right? It's affixed onto a fabric bit of clothing and jacket. I do like the different variations in the colors along the breast plate and the shoulder plates. The gauntlets also really nicely done with great detailing. I think for those of you who probably do collect the Mandalorian figures, this wouldn't come as a surprise, but for me, it's the first time really interacting with a suit like this, and I do like the armored plates and the variations that you do get. Figure overall, the tailoring is top notch, right, and there is a nice color pop to this particular suit. So look, overall, I'm pretty happy with this figure, right? Is it a character that I'm 100% crazy about? No, I'll be honest, right? I like the show and I wanted the character because I think she'll be a great companion figure to Shin, to Ahsoka, to Balin. I did find her a little annoying on the show at times, but as far as a figure, right, the posability is insane, right? The variety of poses you can get with the blasters, the lightsabers, the helmet, all again pretty phenomenal, right? And I do like even the belts. I don't know if these are faux leather. Hopefully they're not, because they're done so nicely that I think if they start, degrading a little bit, that will be a shame. But right now they're pristine and they look pretty incredible. As far as any major issues I had with the figure, I don't know that I did. I think the biggest concern, as you'll see probably when you swap out the helmeted look, is that the helmet does come in two pieces with a fabric neck piece, and I did think it was a little cumbersome to get on. Once you get it on, it looks great, but that was probably the biggest headache I had. Overall, though, everything really, no complaints here, and I think the figure looks phenomenal. And I think if you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan of lightsaber characters, this is a nice addition, right? Does she stand out as much as other characters, right? When you think of Star Wars, right, you think of Darth Maul, you think of, at least for me, I think of the dark side wield of the Force, and the Sith Lords that have just a very striking presence. Does she stand out as much as those figures? I don't know. I think for me the answer is probably no, but she's a great figure overall. Just and I hate if I don't sound totally excited. It's not that I'm not excited by the piece overall, because I am, right? It's just, again, it's more probably the character. So I think when I look at the entire Ahsoka line overall, that's where the figures will really come to life. But yeah, great solid addition to any collection. No real complaints here. I think the helmet looks great, but for me, it's just, I don't want to cover up that sculpt, which is phenomenal. So yeah, that was a quick look at the Sabine Wren figure from Hot Toys in 6-scale format from the Ahsoka series. Great overall addition, great figure, and very happy to have added it to the collection. So let me know your thoughts, and as always, we'll touch base on the next video.